Hello everyone, Nachadin over here, and as always, you can like my videos and subscribe in any of the guidelines over there, and also become a member if you are interested. Now, this is going to be, let's say, the longer form of the video that I just did. The other one was just kind of for people that have not played Sublety for a while, or just want to play Sublety in the new expansion, The War Within. I, of course, talked about the Sality being strong in cooldowns and weak outside, but this one is going to be for people that have played at least in Season 3 and Season 4 of Dragonflight. Even if you have not watched much of the beta content or any of my updates, you can just watch this one and it's going to help you understand the things that have changed. I'm also going to talk about some rotation things, but it's not going to go super in depth as I kind of want to go into them when I do the videos for each hero class thingy and for single target and AoE dungeon, let's say. Because as you know, we don't really have a full AoE build. We just do a dungeon one, and then it's not even changing that much. You can just change literally one talent and you go from AoE to single target. So let's begin. Now, as of course, as you know, we have Trickster and Deathstalker. These change rotation in different ways and make it so you have to think about some procs and also, let's say, things you use and then other things happen. Now, I'm going to go into a little bit of Deathstalker first and then Trickster. The base talent tree has changed also, but that was a thing you can already see in the pre-release, of course. Now, the without a trace that was in the main tree, now it's here. That means that for dust, you are going to use these points here. And this is not one of the recommended builds. I will, of course, play those ones. This is something I kind of like to play in dungeons, a cliff one, let's say. And that is most of the change. They put shadow focus here and they even nerfed it, so now it's useless. You don't really take it. You just skip it. And now for the rotation things. As you know, there is first Deathstalker. Let's change it so you can see it all the time. And Deathstalker has Deathstalker mark that you will apply on your first Shadow Strike from Stealth or Shadow Dance. You will get those 3 stacks on a mob. Now, these will be expended every time you use at least 5 com points. There are some places that it's a little bit weird, like when you storm and you get 4. It's annoying, but it is what it is. Now, this doesn't change the rotation that much because it only makes it so you want to use always finishers on 5. This, on the other hand, makes it so you have to use a storm inside dance. It's not as annoying as it sounds. You just get used to it, and just every dance you use the storm from your marks, and sometimes you will consume your capstone and you get the marks again, and you get the buff again, and then you will use that one on that same dance or in the next one. That doesn't change much. This is just auto attack damage. This doesn't change almost anything that you do. You will use Eviscerate until 2 targets or 3 targets depending on the place, and then you use Black Powder and your marked target will get that damage made to it. It also works with the ruptures, so it's very, very good that you use the ruptures as always. This one, it's kind of, let's say, weak. It doesn't do a lot of damage. It's not that important. It will just proc when it procs. Now for Corrupt the Blood, it got some buffs, and then it uses stacks and it stays there unless you mess up and drop Rupture. Now this of course makes it so you don't really want to drop Rupture even if you are AoEing. So That makes it, let's say, a little optimization that you can do on long pulls. Now for this one, Symbolic Victory is just super useless and they haven't buffed it for some reason. Maybe they are scared of PvP. But Lingering Darkness has been buffed a lot of times, and it's also something weird right now. It works with items. So if something does shadow damage, it's a little bit more damage to be Deathstalker, and it helps that. Of course, if after Shadow Blades expires, so it's not something that you can really control, and it's just there. This is an utility point. Now this follow the blood is just super bad, and it also increases that damage. This is increases damage and also gets critical strike damage. And as you know, getting even more critical strike and then damage, it's way better than just some extra damage. This of course is the same thing. Some utility, you don't really care that much. This may help on some bosses where you want the shadow step to be a little sooner. And then you have your capstone. Capstone makes it so when you consume the 3 marks, your next eviscerate with full combo points. Remember, if you have 6, you will use 6. If you have 7, you will use 7. You will always have 7, so you will use 7. You have to consume this if you get it. So this is one of the only times that we will use a builder when we are on 5 combo points. In the case of Shadow Strike, Shadow Strike. In the case of Backstab or Shuriken Storm, to get those 7 combo points. It can be annoying, and also if you are not ready, you may run out of energy. So just be expecting that one. Now for Trickster, you have the Unseen Blade. This makes it a little bit more complicated, but I'm going to go just let's do an overhead on that one. Deathstalker was really easy, not many things changed. With Trickster, there are some other things, but you say that when you get a backstab or shadow strike every 20 seconds, you get that extra damage. It's actually a really big hit, and then you get phased. Phased is really good because you get more damage, and it also can't parry. It means that you can finally, for once, be in front on the mob. Boss mob, those are the ones that parries. If you didn't know, the dungeon ones don't parry. And that makes it so you don't get, in this case, that mechanic. Now then you have this, some utility. This is some extra critical strike damage on your builders. That makes it so Equine Reprimand with Reverberation and Gormau are kind of decent, but of course they are not the best. Then you have Flawless Form. When you use on Simblade and Secret Technique, you get this extra Mastery. Let's say Mastery because it's the damage of your finishing moves. Outlaw has another Mastery. That is why they also don't really care that much. Multiple applications may overlap. That means that if you use an Unseen Blade and then Secret Technique, you will get 2 stacks. Every stack also has its own timer, so they go down and up asynchronically. Now this, it's also some whatever thing. So tricky makes it so your tricks of the trade have 1 hour duration and it will just proc, and then when the proc ends, it will proc again. Don't be suspicious, you just get some extra CDR on Blind and Shroud of Concealment. I think this one is better. And then you have here Secret Technique always applies phased. It helps a lot on some things. 1000 Cuts makes it so sometimes you get your reset for Unseen Blade. It also helps to get more uptime on Flawless Form. Disorienting Strikes makes it so your next, in this case, Secret Technique makes your 2 Unseen Blades proc. So you will have 2 Shadow Strikes, we will proc each time. Now here you get some extra critical strike chance on face targets, and then this is useless. It's so bad. Don't take that one. Maybe buff it, but it's not useful. This is one of the most fun talents that we haven't gotten in a long time. Makes it so if you have flawless form, your single target things cleave. Of course, 50% of damage. It's kind of super strong. Right now it's bugged and doesn't work with Cook the Grass, but I expect when the expansion enters to actually work. There is not much to explain. Just try to have as much flawless form as possible. And you will also always have this in dance because after secret technique, you will do one shadow strike and then have it up. Then cook the grass. When you get 4 unseen blades, your next eviscerate will be performed as you had 5 additional combo points. This is really good, and ideally you want to use this one also with full combo points, but it's not a huge loss to use it with less. Of course, you want the target to be phased because then you get 5 stacks of this. Now, those things change rotation a little bit, not hugely. And now let's talk more about things that you will have to do as Sublety. Now, Trickster has, let's say, 2 builds and also Deathstalker. We have Dust and then Dark Brew. For single target, Dark Brew it's a little bit behind, but Dust will actually be a little bit stronger because of one trinket. The Treacherous Transmitter, I already did some videos where you can see what happens with the 3 different things, the ball, the circle that you have to soak, and then the 3 jumps. There's also a weak aura on that video if you want to check that one out. I'm going to leave it, the video itself, in the description so you can look at that. Now, the rotational things will be in another video. So now I'm going to talk more about one thing that I will also explain in a future video, but that we have to get, let's say, ready. We will still be a 2-minute build with Dark Brew, but actually with Dust we have changed to a 1 minute and 30 seconds with the Treacherous Transmitter, and also because we will be using as Trickster 3 dances in our opener. Then we will skip 1 dance, so that means we will use Symbols of Death with Secret Technique when Symbols of Death comes back. Then we will use another 1 dance and then 3 dances and then repeat. As Deathstalker you will do the same, but let's say that instead of 3 dances there will be 2 dances, then dance, dance, and 2. The only thing that changes is the one that it's dead in the middle will not happen with Deathstalker because you don't have the 3 at the beginning. Now, it's not super important also, but we are a little bit stronger than, let's say, in the last season in Cliff, but we are not hugely stronger. Rogue right now, it's tuned, let's say, middle of the pack. It's not crazy. Assassination, for example, it's really good right now in dungeons. Has a lot of AoE and Cliff damage. The single target is not crazy, but it's a bit ahead of Sublety. That, of course, does not mean that we are still good. Now, as of the talent tree and other things, there is not a lot of change. I'm going to put, of course, the recommended builds in the description for Deathstalker and Trickster, and also going to do videos for each of them and the rotations, etc. etc. I did go a little bit more in depth, but I will want to, of course, explain it better in the, let's say, video dedicated to each one. And now, as the last thing that I will talk, gear right now is not fixed. Embellishments are still getting changes. Enchants just got changes literally like less than 6 hours ago. So for gear, I can't talk about much. Maybe when the raid is like almost about to release, we can talk about embellishment, gears, and enchants. The only thing that we know right now is that this ring is good and you want it. The other things we don't even know. Their trinkets are also really weak, so maybe they are going to get some buffs. And this is everything for the, let's say, the people that are more interested in Sublety. I hope you watched the whole video. If you didn't, it's not a bad thing. You will have the videos on each of the things in the future. And I hope to see you in the next one.